Hi everyone. Hi, welcome Steve. Today we have Steve Brossman with us, who who's the Sales Innovator, and glad to have you here today. And I believe there will be a lot of knowledge sharing for all our viewers as well. Welcome, Steve. How are you doing? How is it going for you?
Oh, look, we're over here in Australia. I guess probably took about 2 sentences for everybody to work out that I am from Australia. Going great, thank you, and I'm really excited to be here and share some of this information with you and your people.
Great, great. Good to hear from you. All right. Okay, so let's just jump into the conversation without wasting much time, and let's begin by knowing more about yourself, and what you do, and if you could just take us through your, how do you help businesses? What is your process, and how do you reach out to businesses and help them who require your support when it comes to sales and closing, big ticket clients? So yeah, if you could just talk more on that.
Sure. Look, it's a funny journey how I got to get started. I was never meant or set out to be a business person. I was actually a professional track athlete. And I thought, yeah, beauty, that's going to last for a while.
Yeah.
I was training for the Olympics and crushed 3 discs on my back, and you don't run very fast with a bad back. So through rehab, I fell in love with the fitness industry, and I thought, you know what, I could probably do this. And so I looked at the way things were being done, and that really set up for what I do right now. I looked at it, was like, well, everybody's doing it this way. Why don't we do it a different way? And so that I ended up setting up a kids club program. We franchised that into 5 countries, a weight loss program. We franchised that into 2 countries, ended up with a TV show. All of these different things were based around finding a market, understanding what they really do want, and then selling to their wants, not just to their needs. Because we were selling hard work and sweat for the fitness industry. Yet the weight loss industry were charging 10 times our price, and they were selling the dreams. So I built and rebuilt a weight loss program. And it was amazing that all the people that couldn't afford my gym membership would pay twice as much for my weight loss program. So it's a real big lesson way back then in communicating the message in a way that's compelling, that people want to buy because they see great value in it. And that's one of the biggest things that I take and I work with people on. What is it, not what you do, but what you do for them? And then how can we create it and communicate it in a very compelling way?
Great. That's quite interesting, actually. Yeah, and since you've been working, in this field for quite some time, would love to know from you, what are the trends and what are the changes that you've seen, especially post-pandemic. I believe everyone you talk to in the marketing field will tell you so many things have changed. How have you seen the industry evolving and the process changing on your end?
Well, I'm going to share a screen with you, and this only came out a few weeks ago. It's a big study by a company that I do a lot of work with. I've been really studying the neuroscience behind communication and how to create that compelling communication so people buy.
Yeah.
And it was interesting that about 6 years ago, I created the concept called the brown box syndrome. And that's for all the businesses, professionals, and everybody out there that basically title themselves by their category or their occupation, whether they're an IT company or an accountant or a consultant, a coach. That's very brown box. It's not until you unwrap the box that you actually see there might be gold in there. And this company, and I'll just share this one screen,
Sure.
they basically said 88% of companies on the market right now have their major competitor delivering a very similar product.
Right.
88% of sellers and marketers aren't confident that the buyers understand what makes their solution unique and different. And that's why a lot of people waste time, effort, and money on marketing, because they're marketing a brown box. They're marketing the same as everybody else, whereas the money is changing, being able to change your positioning, create your unique authority, create that unique outcome-based packaging, and do that in a different way and then do the marketing. But a lot of the marketers don't know that, and they'll just say, just keep spending more money, spending more money. Sooner or later we'll make sales.
Yeah.
But if you're the same as everybody else, that's not really going to happen. So that's one of the biggest things that has been massively changing. Well, I've been doing that exact sort of framework with my people for over 10 years, the positioning, the packaging, the communicating, and helping them to sell. And it's gotten worse since COVID because everybody's been told to pivot and go online, which makes it more and more competitive, which makes it even more and more crucial to be able to create that unique authority positioning.
Yeah, true, true. I think, yeah, completely understandable. I think, and this applies to businesses world over, especially the traditional offline businesses who now have forced to come online and create presence online pretty much. So yeah, I mean, that is something which I believe a lot of businesses are also looking at, how to convert and how to actually create that presence online, which I'm pretty sure you can also help them with. Would also like to know from you, what is the client journey, with you, and when they approach you for helping, out with sales, how do you go about the process? What is it that you look at, and how do you formulate, maybe you could share some.
Yeah, look, I've got to. I'm just while you were saying that,
Yeah.
I had a whole heap of interesting things that I could show you, but I wanted to have it what you wanted, and I've got this two journeys that people go through. Can you see this slide now?
Yes.
The typical sales journey starts off pretty well here. The brown box. Everybody's out there competing for the person. They'll try and generate some leads of which they will personally qualify to say, you're the right person for me to sell to. So what I've got here is the buying experience, getting ready to go to talk to somebody, and the buying energy. And nobody really talks about that. And I focus on that with all of our people. How do we increase the buying energy before people talk to you? And then everybody is now being told that if you want to sell something high ticket, you book them in for a discovery call. Now, that's the worst thing you can do. I'm not saying don't have a call, but everybody calls it a discovery call, and everybody knows that a discovery call is a sales call. So what's happened along here, the buying energy is just flatlined. They're booked in for a discovery call. The buying energy goes down and the sales resistance goes up because they know they're going to get sold to. Whereas when we start with people, we uncover their unique authority. What is it that you do different that you could own? What system could you create? What blueprint could you create? That, by being positioned as the authority, you get a lot more excited. People get more excited. It's like, oh, I'm going to talk to this person because they're the creator of this. They're the leader in that. And then through a process of information about you, as well as some videos, which is the best way to create a relationship. We're talking, but the people watching, they're thinking, hey, I'm going to have a relationship with Steve, or I'm not. They'll judge and they say, look, he's an idiot. I want to talk to him. It's like, he's cool. I do want to talk to him. Either way, when you're cultivating the people, there's three things. You can water them, you can fertilize it, and you prune them. So people get excited or they run away. And the people that run away are the people you didn't want to talk to. Then the next thing is we tell people, book them in for what's called a high value outcome call. So they get excited about the call. So I work with people, we'll either have an authority unpack call where we unpack what their authority status could be, a prominence and profits where we could find some profits in their business, prominence and performance where we could uncover things. They're all value-based calls. It's like, I'm going to get something out of the call. My buying energy goes up because I get excited. Then generally we'll do a few things with videos, a personalized video, getting them excited. By the time they actually get on the call, the buying energy is high and they're excited. They know a lot more about you and they think, you know, I'm looking forward to this call. I know who you are. I know what you do. And I really do believe that you are the right person for me. Instead of the other end, you've got to resurrect the people. So the two differences there, that's one of the biggest things that I help my people do and people across the board is really increase their conversion rates by having excited people talk to them. And if I've got it coming up, let me just flick through for one more thing. We also show people how to create what I call a sales weapon. It's a blueprint. And these things are not just to explain what you do, but to collaborate on a solution where in the end, this ends up looking like this. So we've worked together and we've decided that if we improve your position and we're going to put some money into your bank, if we create some programs, increase your retention, increase your referrals, yep, that's also going to increase your income. If we create a blueprint, that's going to help you save time, increase your sales. We'll talk about videos, books, or speaking, whichever would be the best. And we would work out, yeah, if we did this, how do you think that would affect your business? And what would an extra 30% mean to you? And then we get to the end and show them how simple the sales process is. And then you add up all what I call the value pit stops, all of these bits and pieces around here that the person has collaborated on. And it'd be fairly simple that we say, well, actually, by the look of it, from what you've said, if we put this system into your business, we're going to increase your cash flow an extra $9,000. That's an extra $27,000 over the next 3 months. Does it make sense we get started sooner rather than later? And that's as stressful as selling gets. When you got the right people with the right buying energy and the right tools,
Yeah.
It's just collaborating on a really cool conversation. So they're the pieces of the jigsaw that has been making massive differences with people and taking the stress out of selling.
Yeah, yeah. I think quite interesting actually, especially the flowchart that you shared at the end. I think, yeah, working through that process is quite important. And most businesses, when they segregate the product and the process from the sales, it's extremely and that's why I believe a lot of internet-based businesses, end up burning a lot of cash in the initial years, and the reason being the cost of acquisition is so high, for these startups, which is required in some cases, but then, you can of course build these processes and work on reducing the cost and making sure the efficiency goes up, right? Rather than just
Yeah.
showing it.
And one of the things, because I know you do a lot of work and some fantastic work with those who are getting started in startups, and they've got really good at what they do. They don't really know this sort of thing that well, and they obviously don't know sales that well or how to communicate it. So generally what they do is they talk about the how. They talk about the nuts and the bolts, where most of the people who want to work with them really want to know, but what is it going to do for me? How is it going to work for me? And having a process and a communication plan that gets away from talking all the tech speak, talking all the process speak, and saying, well, okay, here's when they learn how to use a blueprint, it keeps them right on track and they don't go off talking about all the techie stuff. And it just makes a massive difference to be able to communicate clearly, whether it's people that are buying their services,
Yeah.
or whether it's people buying as an investor. Because instead of just coming to me with a great idea and it's going to do this, no, I have a system, I have a blueprint, I have this and a great story to be able to generate revenue for my business. And the investors are so much more interested because it's not just talking to a tech person who understands tech. Their system is what they're going to invest in.
Yes, yes, so true. Yes, completely. Also, you mentioned initially that you've been through the journey of growing brands from scratch to taking to getting them to open franchises all over Australia and all over the world. Sometimes, some cases. Would you like to share some interesting insights and some lessons that you must have or some experiences that you must have gotten along the way of growing those brands? Would love to know those stories from you.
Sure. Yeah, there's there's one that is very interesting. I'll get on one here. Probably about 15, 18 years ago, indoor smoking was being banned in Australia, and it went all the way around the world in most places. And there was a massive cigarette butt litter problem on the streets. Nobody had the bins around. It was just not available. And I said to my mate, we had to do something about it. I'm a passionate environmentalist. And so I actually invented this little thing here. I don't know whether this one is even easier to see. You'll see that it's actually got a bum on it, a bottom, like a human butt. Because in Australia, it was like butt, cigarette butt, human butt. Why don't I create a portable personal ashtray with a butt on it? The interesting thing is, and a lot of people say, yeah, you're going into a crowded market. Well, we didn't get in at the beginning. There was already 12 other personal ashtrays on the market. But we created one that had humor. We created one that had marketing around it, that engaged the people, not yelled at the people. And the taglines was, don't let the Rangers see your butt. Is your butt worth $200? All of those sorts of things that were lots of fun, and people got involved with it. But the big thing was, we didn't sell portable personal ashtrays. We put together some programs. We called them cigarette butt litter reduction campaigns. We taught people, the councils, the governments, the corporates, all of those that had the problems. We sold the solution, not the product. So we sold the whole program, not the pieces. So we ended up selling 4 million into 26 countries by not selling the product, by selling the solution. And that's probably one of the biggest lessons that I see with startups and people that want to leverage. I wasn't the world's greatest environmentalist. I wasn't the world's, any of those sorts of things, but my business partner and I created programs that nobody had ever done. They were just trying to sell. So we won international environmental awards, became leaders in what we were doing, because we were the leaders in our tiny little niche of selling cigarette butt litter reduction campaigns. Now, for the business people out there that are listening to this, are you selling the nuts and the bolts of your business? I see a lot of tech people sell the boxes of hours, the boxes of tech support, the boxes of all of this, but we don't really give a damn what's in the box of tech stuff. Yeah. It's what that does for me. And we were selling how to get rid of cigarette butts, and they just bought the whole pack, which is why within 2 years we became the #1 global brand.
Right. That's quite interesting and inspiring as well. Considering you brought a good idea into practice, and you got them to adapt to that, which is really amazing. And would love to know from you, specific to B2B businesses, if you have any valuable tips or advice to share when they are closing their deals, or when they are looking to get clients on board. Any particular piece of advice that they should keep in mind? What do they follow?
Absolutely. And the biggest thing that people get caught up in B2B has to be a different language, has to be straight down facts, but it's not. It's still just as emotive, that just the emotions are different. And the language, basically in business, in B2B business, they'll buy one of three things: save time, save money, make money. So somewhere in your language, you've got to draw the line of what you do to one or all of those three. And that's the biggest thing. It's like, well, how does what I do affect how they're going to save time, save money, make money, and ideally make them and the company look good? The other thing is that, and I'll go back to this exact same one here, is if they are number crunchers and you are doing a presentation against other people, when you work with the people and collaborate, they have a greater involvement. And there's a saying that I have, and it's very true, and it was backed up by the neuroscientists, but in different words: when they're involved, they invest. So if I'm just preaching to you and say, hey, here's what we do, here's how we do things, aren't we good, by us, instead of sitting down and basically saying, look, Ashita, from what I understand of your company, you're needing this. If we did this, we do this. What would it mean to your company if we did that? And I want some numbers coming back from you. So that engagement, even at a high corporate level, I did it exactly the same thing this morning for a multi-million-dollar software company.
Yeah.
We collaborated, we worked out where they needed some help. If I did that help, what it would mean to their bottom line. And it was way significant than anything I could ever charge them. So it made sense. It's like, well, let's meet tomorrow, sort out the action plan, and I'll give you my invoice. So it actually speeds up. The other thing, if you use a blueprint like this, if there's somebody that's not in the meeting that's supposed to be in the meeting, and I did this with a client just the other day. Look, I realize that you do have to go and talk to somebody else about this. Would it be helpful if I sent this blueprint over to you so you could show them the results that we will get for you and your company when we work together? So having that and having all the dollars and cents there is another weapon, instead of saying, oh, we had a great presentation, these guys were good. No, they have a system for our results. And in a B2B situation, people will invest more into a system than they will into per hours. Yeah. So I'm going to buy that whole system versus I'm going to buy 10 hours working with Steve. And that's the big paradigm shift where I see people in a B2B situation. Sell the solution and the outcomes and make sure they're significantly greater than what you're about to charge them.
Right. I think totally makes sense. And what about B2C? What kind of advice would you share for B2C sales conversion and brand, building in that sense, especially for newer brands which are entering the D2C or B2C space?
Again, there is not that much different, because in every space, you're somewhere along the line, you are selling human to human, people to people. It's P2P. It's people to people. The first thing, because mainly in the B2C space, it would be really, really competitive, whatever field you're in. So what I showed with that buying energy ladder, starting off by creating your unique authority position for the consumer market. Like I'm not going to worry about the slide. One of our people in the weight loss industry, I mean, that's competitive.
Yeah.
And she was in the online weight loss, and that is just super saturated. And she was struggling to sell a $25 a month program. Yet we looked at what she was doing, turned it all around, and created a lifestyle renovation program, which is basically the same as the full makeover type of thing. She became the lifestyle renovation specialist, and within 2 weeks sold a 2,500, a 2,500, 100 times the price, because she was seen as unique and as an authority and people were wanting to buy that full lifestyle renovation makeover type thing, but it was perceived as different. And it's a matter of positioning and packaging first, and then being able to communicate it in a emotive and compelling way. So
Right.
B2C is still the same but different. That's all.
Yeah, makes sense. Absolutely. Especially with the newer brands, they need to establish the branding has to be done really well, and they need to establish an identity for themselves before they go out and communicate to the buyer and ask them to buy the product. This, like you mentioned, the brand authority is quite important actually for any business, in fact, for that matter.
Yeah. Sorry for butting in. There's one thing that'll get you guys at home, wherever you are right now. Write this down. I always say tattoo it on the back of your eyelids if you need to, but just remember this. Your perceived position predicts your profits. Your perceived position in the marketplace predicts your profits. So I say positioning, which is who you are, where you are, what you stand for, comes first. Branding is how that is communicated, and then the rest flows. But you always start with your positioning. And if you are positioned as different, as a leader, the creator of what you have built, then you are going to really stand out in the marketplace.
Yeah, thank you. And valuable advice, definitely. Would also like to ask you, what are some of the recent marketing trends or new trends that you have captured and seen companies use, which you think are really useful and are going to make an impact going along the way, and any trends that you see coming in the future of the marketing industry and that might evolve and change the entire uh, landscape in which we are working today.
There's no magic bullet and there's no crystal ball. Sorry. Um, and there's no push button thing. Hey, here's the latest trend on Facebook ads, because the minute it goes out, it's all changed again. So there's no sense mentioning any of those things there. What is crucial is the behind the scenes work that's going on how you do communicate. And the group that put out that study, they had 4 different segments of language, and most of the people will have heard features and benefits. Yeah, you shouldn't just talk in features, you should also put in the benefits. Sure, we've heard that before. A lot of them still don't do that. Then there's another level that people try to go to, which is superlatives. And that's quite often where you're using, I'll call them corny cliches. So it's like, we're the number one in this, or we're the one-stop shop that delivers this. And that is something other people can say, and it actually drops the trust factor. Then the next level that they actually called it is, I got it written here, telling details, or I call it value add features or value add benefits, when you can actually quantify through the benefit of what it is, instead of saying we do this, but quantify, like the people we're working with today, we can reduce you by this much, we can increase by this much, and start having some specific language around the you. The other group that brought out another study, which was very interesting, it's the use of the words me, we, and I versus the word you. And they divided it up into, is the problem expressed in a you format or a me, we, I format? And is the solution expressed in a you versus me, we, I? And they actually did studies on the conversion rates, and it was twice when you get the ratio right. That's where I see some big and exciting advancements in the marketing, not the technical, because I've had people that have doubled, tripled, and quadrupled their attraction, their leads, and their sales by spending no extra money on marketing, but just by changing positioning, packaging, and using a blueprint. I see massive changes in the leads, conversions, and generation and lead generation by changing the language, not the technical. And that's where I see some of the biggest advancements have been and are going. But people, because everybody else is out there trying to sell all the tech, all the Facebook ads, I can help you, generate 400 leads while you sleep overnight. All of these people are talking about the techie, but not the real behind the scenes work, which is where there've been some massive improvements. So my take on that for you is step outside the tech, step outside the marketing, and see what else is going to make a massive difference. And that's where the future is.
I think, yeah, definitely. And that's why, you are the sales innovator. It's about sharing tips and sharing advice, which normally wouldn't hear anywhere else. You hear people talking about retargeting customers online, showing digital ads, and like putting your brand in people's faces, which a lot of brands are doing on social media, especially with the social media marketing, and it's quite annoying, and I'm not really sure if it works for them. But I really find that trend to be not working so much, at least in my case as a consumer. I find those ads really annoying, when they keep retargeting you for the same products. There's a particular reason I didn't buy it, and I do not wish to see it again. It's pretty simple. Yeah, I think completely makes sense. Just create your own identity, create an authority in the market, and then go out, and so that your customer is ready for your product before you go and make the sales pitch. I think definitely very, very crucial.
Yeah, it's actually the bookend. And that's what I tell people, the way that I work is on the bookend. Create a more valuable, attractive offer person, with the positioning, the packaging, and then a higher conversion rate on the back end. The leads in the middle become more valuable. And so I often work with digital marketers, a lot of people that do the lead generation. But when I'm working with the front end and they're more attractive, their message is better, then the quality of people that are generated are better. And then when they convert more, everything is much more valuable. And it's a more of a collaboration effect that drives the traffic than just a one-off.
Yeah. Thank you. That brings us to the end of our session, and loved all the advice and tips that you shared. Amazing work that you're doing, and amazing experiences that you shared with us. Before we finish, please tell all the business community and our business owners and entrepreneurs how they can get in touch with you and seek your help, and what are the various possible avenues, your website, your LinkedIn, everywhere they can probably reach out to you. And yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of them would be waiting to connect.
Let me just do this for you. And I do it in pictures because pictures are much easier to see. How I work with people is basically help them get out of the brown box and create that unique solution. Help them create their blueprint, collaborate on the 3 levels of influence. We didn't get into the pendulum. I do work with them on a video strategy. Didn't even mention it, but I help people put their books out and get that out. The buying experience journey, when they get that right, that's one of the crucial things that we work on. And of course, when that all comes into play, they can actually carry the money home. So what I've done is people can just connect with me, Steve at stevebrossman.com. Everything, LinkedIn, Facebook, is just Steve Brossman. So if they want to find me on LinkedIn, if they see this and they can see it in time and write this down, it's bit.ly, bit.ly, then it's the BPG self-selling. I'm sure they could just pause the video wherever they're watching and write it down. That is a lot of what I've spoken about. That's my back pocket guide to self-selling secrets. There's something like 24 pages of good information. There's some videos in there. It's a real good taste of what it is that they do. If they believe that they want to reach out and say, Steve, how can we work directly with you? I work with people one-on-one, and I work in groups of programs. That may be something that we could talk about, running a group program specifically for your community. and have it just for them, because that way we'd be able to speak their language exactly where they're at and be able to deliver great value. So if that's a thought, put the pressure on her and say,
Definitely. We'll share
oh,
the links. So we'll share all the details and links. Uh,
we we can work something out and really work well with you guys. So look, thank you so much. It's been an absolute blast, and I look forward to working with you and working with your people even more.
Definitely, definitely. I think thank you from Entrepreneurially India for coming and sharing your valuable insights. And look forward to more and more. I think businesses and working together on these projects. Definitely, I think a lot of insights driven by everything that you mentioned today. Thank you so much, and yeah, take care, stay safe. Bye bye.
All
Yeah,
right. See you real soon. Cheers.
bye. Cheers.